You'd think football just had its biggest party of the decade and now it rests. It doesn't. The very next World Cup is about to break almost every rule the tournament has followed for 100 years. Different continents, a possible switch to January, and games that might not exist yet because the number of teams keeps changing. Nobody paused. The calendar just kept moving. Here's how it actually works. Start with the basics. A World Cup used to mean one country, one summer, one set of stadiums you could find on a map without much trouble.
Please subscribe, click the bell icon, and hit like. Thank you.
That's the old model. Simple, predictable, almost boring. If you're being honest, that model is gone. The next edition in 2030 marks 100 years since the very first World Cup, and FIFA decided a birthday like that deserves something bigger than a plaque. So the tournament will be staged across 3 continents and 6 countries in the same year. Spain, Portugal, and Morocco will host the bulk of it. But the opening matches, the symbolic ones, go to Uruguay, Argentina, and Paraguay, because Uruguay is where the whole thing began in 1930. Same competition. Different planet, practically. Here's the why, because none of this is random. FIFA isn't spreading a tournament across 3 continents for fun. It's a message. The World Cup belongs to everyone who ever hosted it, not just whoever's turn it is now. Give Uruguay the opening game, and you're not just being polite. You're closing a 100-year loop. It's theater. Efficient, deliberate theater. And there's a second motive, less sentimental. FIFA is also weighing whether to expand the tournament to 64 teams. More teams, more matches, more broadcast windows. Football, like most things run by very large organizations, tends to grow toward the version of itself that makes the most money. That's not cynicism. That's just how tournaments evolve. Now for the escalation, the part that actually rewrites the rulebook. 4 years later, in 2034, the World Cup goes to Saudi Arabia, alone. One host, first time in the Middle East since Qatar. And just like Qatar, geography is causing a scheduling headache nobody can just ignore. Summer temperatures in Saudi Arabia make a June tournament borderline unplayable. So FIFA is seriously discussing pushing the whole event into winter, possibly starting in late 2034 and finishing in January 2035, partly to avoid the heat, partly because it collides with Ramadan if played on the usual calendar. Think about that for a second. A 2034 World Cup that might not fully happen in 2034. The name stays. The year doesn't. Football, redefining its own dates to fit reality instead of tradition. Here's the twist most casual fans miss. While everyone's watching the men's tournaments shuffle continents and months, the women's game is quietly setting its own precedent. The 2027 Women's World Cup goes to Brazil, the first time South America hosts it. Not a co-host arrangement, not a compromise. A single country given the keys outright. That's a marker, not a footnote. And the club game isn't sitting still either. The expanded Club World Cup format is positioning itself as a genuine rival to international tournaments, with prize money for participating clubs that, in some cases, now outpaces what national teams earn for winning the actual World Cup. Let that sit for a second. The trophy with 100 years of history, out-earned by a club competition that's still finding its identity. So here's how it all connects to right now. Spain just won the World Cup in 2026. The confetti's barely swept up. And already the sport is negotiating its next decade, Euro 2028, heading to the UK and Ireland with the final back at Wembley, where it always seems to end up. The LA Olympics running July 14th to 30th in 2028, notable for building almost nothing new, reusing what already exists, and for the first time fielding more women's football teams than men's. None of this waits for the last tournament to finish being talked about. It happens anyway. So here's the whole shape of it. Football didn't slow down after 2026. It accelerated. The next World Cup spreads across 3 continents to honor the first one. The one after that might not even happen in the year it's named for. Women's football keeps claiming firsts that used to belong only to the men's game. And club football is quietly outbidding international football for the sport's attention. Different tournaments, different countries. Same underlying pattern. Whoever controls the calendar controls the game. The game didn't change. You did. You're welcome. Subscribe if you like this. It really means a lot.